following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. Bronx Roots, Michael Preminger and David Hubler are the hosts. I am Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and I have roots in the Bronx. My grandparents live there on Valentine Avenue. That qualifies me to join, and here we are. So let me turn it over to David Hubler to introduce the topic we're going to talk about, the passing of
Penny Marshall. I thought we were going to open with the music, but all right, no, never mind.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
everybody else did it, so we can. Everybody else did it.
Poetic for a second, and I'll bring up some music.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, we have to wax. I'm waxing.
Talk about Penny. Talk about Penny. I'll bring the music in.
Well, are we going to stay on, or we'll be on? We're
going to
right?
talk. We're going to talk. Just talk.
Okay. All right. Well, as some of you out there in Radioland know, Michael and I grew up in the neighborhood where Penny Marshall grew up. In fact, we all three of us went to the same junior high school and hung out on the Parkway. Michael, you knew her from the Parkway too, didn't you? Knew of her at least.
I certainly knew of her. I knew her a little bit. I just don't remember. I guess if I knew her really well back then, I would remember. But she was, if I'm not mistaken, 2 grades behind us.
Yes, just about 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister knew her, was in class with her. But you knew Gary Marshall better, didn't you?
Well, I knew Gary once.
Our brother, yeah.
From the movie.
Right.
I didn't really know him before.
No, I know, but I mean, that was your connection with the family, at least.
Yeah. And with Penny, I'm trying to remember again when I came out here, meaning Los Angeles, she was already out here, and we connected. Well, one of the things was when I was doing the improvisation in New York, she would come in sometimes with Rob Reiner. They were together back then. I hope I have the time period right. I know he would come in there sometimes. So when I came out here, I don't know if I must have had the phone number. Somehow we connected, and the thing I've always remembered was, guess we were hanging out together one day, and I wasn't feeling great. So she said, "I'll take you to my doctor." And there was nothing serious, but but anyway, she took me to the doctor, and there was a waiting because I didn't have an appointment. And what I remember is how she just sat with me, and we waited, and she waited, and that was a pretty nice thing to do. It's not like she dropped me off and then, came back. She sat there, and I've always remembered that. And then one other time, I think you'll like this. I know I'm not answering about hanging out in the Bronx.
No, that's all right. Yeah, no, this is what we're talking about. Yeah.
But I'm sure we did. So one other time, I was at her house. I'm pretty sure she was still with Rob Reiner, and she was there with two female friends of hers. One was Louise Lasser. You know that name?
Sure.
I do.
And then there was another lady who was, it's not that I won't mention, her first name was Monica. Her name was Monica Johnson. She was a writer. And all three of them were pretty well they were stoned is what it was. and I was never a smoker of marijuana anyway. And they were stoned, and here's the part of the story that was, first of all, this Monica, this is a moment where, Ralph has been so nice about the words about me being on the Tonight Show. This Monica Johnson, who, as I say, was just whacked out, comes over and says, weren't you on the Tonight Show recently? I said, yeah. She said, you're not very good. Always remembered that, and I wanted to, tear her fucking head off. To this day, it's one of the ugliest things that's ever happened to me.
I can't believe the
yeah, this is a piece of shit. And while all this is going on, Penny's dog is humping my leg. And I mean really going at it. Now I'm afraid of dogs. Now a dog is humping my leg, I swear. And I'm going, ladies, can you help me? And they're so stoned they could give a fuck what's going on with me. And I'm going, why am I here? To be insulted and to be raped by a dog. This was a wonderful experience.
Without even a flower, dinner.
No, there was a little. The dog left me a little note afterwards, but it certainly we didn't make up for. She could have taken. I mean, no, nothing. You're right, Ralph. Nothing. It was
now, you're a nice guy. When somebody says something outrageous like that, you weren't very good. Well, fuck, I got to the Tonight Show. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this girl was.
What did you say? Did you just take a deep breath, or? Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember, but I should have. I know what I should have said, but she was so out of it. It was. And then at that time, I think I was more concentrating more on the dog and whether we were going to have puppies together. So that's,
what's the old joke about Luigi, the zookeeper who has to service one of the exotic gorillas because he gets nervous, and he made a deal with the boss that he'd take care of the gorilla, but he had under three conditions. One is, you no tell nobody I did this with the gorilla. That was number one. And number two was, I'm a no kisser the gorilla. And the boss says, that's good. Just make her happy, that's all. He says, boss, number three, if there's any children, you got to raise them in the Catholic Church.
That's great.
So, I'm sure you got over that experience with the dog. Let me tell you that. And
but I one of my regrets, and as the song says, I've had a few. Was not trying to keep in touch with Penny, because he was, so nice, and it just would have been, I don't know, a good thing to do. Not just because of celebrity, but she was just very
the
sweet.
kind of person that just to stay with you and just keep you company and make you feel
Well, I have a story about keeping company with Penny too, and I think part of it, I don't know. I've had this theory for a while because I have a couple of friends here who are not from the city, did not grow up in let's say call it a crowded neighborhood, grew up in the countryside, and I think those of us who grew up close together tended to stay close together. That people who we knew even tangentially, if they were to call, say, oh yeah, come on over, let's talk, let's renew our, and I think that's the kind of thing that growing up on what we call on the Parkway, where Penny hung out. Now, Mike and I didn't really know the Parkway. There was a fence across the street from the junior high school, and everyone hung out there from all over the area. In fact, Mike went back for that big reunion they had in 1982, I think it was.
Right, right.
And everyone didn't necessarily know each other, but we knew of each other since we all hung out in the same spot. And Penny talks about that in her book, and in one of her books, at least, and in the recordings, the books on tape. She refers to that. But and she was genuinely a nice person, and lots of times, and I've heard this from other people. You think, well, these celebrities, the first thing they're going to kiss you off. They don't want any part of you. And she apparently was not like that, because she does talk in her books on tape and in a movie, in her book, about how she stayed in touch with all of these close friends. The Marshall that most of us knew growing up was Penny's mother. And the title of her last book was My Mother Was Crazy. Well, and she makes a good case for that in the book, I tell you. Her mother ran a dance.
The mother?
Yeah, Marjorie Marshall.
Yeah, did you know her?
No, I didn't. No, but I knew several of the girls who were in the dance troupe.
Dance class?
Yeah, the dance school. Penny's mother ran a dance school or class in the basement of their apartment building. And the girls actually wound up appearing numerous times on the Jackie Gleason show with the June Taylor dancers.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. One of the girls I was friendly with in my class, she was a member of that group, and yeah. And so they had a sort of local fame going in, and that's how Marjorie Marshall's dance studio, whatever it was called. And I mean, it was almost like you didn't say Marshall without saying Marjorie Marshall. That was Penny's mother and Gary's mother, and they did very well. I mean, they really the girls worked right in there with the adult June Taylor dancers. Anyway, this is my story about how Penny was nice to me. I guess it was 1978. I had just started at Voice of America about a year earlier, and I was in the newsroom. I was reporting news, and they sent me up to the Capitol, which was just a short walk up Capitol Hill from where our offices were. Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin were having their historic meetings, which culminated in the treaty later on. They were up there on Capitol Hill, meeting with congressmen, and it was an open meeting, so there was a lot of press there. And they sent me up to cover this thing. And just as I got there, they closed the meeting to the press. So all of it was hanging around. Now, if you've ever been to the Capitol, and the corridors are very long, there's lots of doors because there's a lot of conference rooms and meeting rooms and things all along. So we're standing around and literally doing nothing because you couldn't go in there. And down the end of the corridor, there was a very bright light coming out from one of them, almost like in those, I think, E.T., any of those movies where you see this light come out of the closet, you know. And that's what it was like. It was a very, very bright light. I was the only one there who was interested in what was going on in the bright light. So I walked down there, and at the same time that Begin and Sadat were meeting, the Smithsonian institution was being presented with the Archie Bunker chair for their for the display about TV and famous shows and things.
Right.
And so they were getting Archie Bunker's chair from All in the Family. And so I walked on. I did at that moment. I didn't know what was going on, but when I walked in, I saw a lot of people that I recognized. Rob Reiner was there. A couple of senators I knew of, and there was Penny Marshall sitting at the table. You know, they had it set up for a luncheon. So I went over to her and I said, you know, who I was, and my sister was in your class. And come sit down. She said, Rob's up at the head table. I don't have anyone to talk to. Come sit and we'll talk.
Oh, wow.
So I sat down, sat next to her. Now, all the while I'm thinking, if that meeting behind closed doors blows up, I'm out of a job. You know? I mean, if anything goes wrong with the Mideast while I'm here having lunch, my career as a journalist is forgotten. That's it. So I sat down and we started to talk, and we had a very pleasant. We sat there the whole time throughout the lunch. I mean, and it was
wonderful.
Yeah, and it was really nice. It was a steak lunch. There was wine. There was a whole. I mean, I should not have. Yeah, I should not have been there at all. But I said, how could I leave now? Anyway, what's his name? Archie Bunker. Name slipped. Carol O'Connor. He was not there for some reason. I don't know. But George Mitchell, the senator, was there, and so they had a little presentation. And but Penny, I'll call her Penny by her first name since I really didn't know her all that well. But Penny and I just sat there talking about the Bronx and the Parkway and all the people whom we knew in common. Some I just knew by name. Some of them were more friends of hers than they were of mine. It was a very segregated parkway by class year, pretty much. If you were still in junior high school, you had one part of. If you were already in high school, you had another part of the fence. It was a very long fence across the street. Anyway, so we finished talking, and then we said goodbye. And as sort of the cherry on the top of this fantastic luncheon I had. But I didn't see her at first, but as I got up, she got up and we started to walk out, was Betty Davis.
Oh,
now,
wow.
Don't ask me why Betty Davis was there, but she was there. Believe me. And she was with a caregiver. She was quite elderly at the time, and walking was difficult. She was walking with a cane and the caregiver. And I just sort of nodded and said, just very briefly, hello, Miss Davis, and she nodded, and that was the end of it. But I mean, to stand there next and just even have this brief exchange with Betty Davis was like unbelievable. I just, so I don't remember how I got back to the office. I think my feet were about 3 feet off the ground.
Oh, I'll bet.
But I had nothing to report. Because fortunately, they just had a meeting, closed-door meeting, and that was it for the day. And then they did the big, the treaty was done out at Camp David after. In fact, they even did a play about it. But it was just a very pleasant interlude with her. And, she was just as friendly as could be. She needed somebody to stay and talk with her, and that was me.
Yeah, nice.
It's a wonderful story. That's great.
Yeah.
That really is great. And no dogs were involved?
No dogs, no. They don't let dogs into the... well, now they do. Now they have dogs. One side of the Capitol is full of dogs, but the others are not so bad anymore.
And as we're talking, I had forgotten that, again, when Penny and Rob were still together, they did a movie for... It doesn't matter. I think it was ABC. At that time, the networks were doing their own movies, which also doesn't matter to the story. But anyway, they were doing a movie, and they gave me a part. I think it was one sentence, one line. And it might not have been a line. It might have been just sitting at the table, or maybe I went, waiter. But they were friends, and the more I talk about it, the more I realize. I mean, I was right there to stay friendly with her. And then a few years later, Rob did a 4-episode sitcom. I think it was hoping to be much more than that. It was a great idea, but they only did 4 of them. And he called me and asked me to do the warm-up for the shows. So again, I'm regretting as I talk. Here I was, being asked by Rob Reiner to do the warm-up, and Penny would be there, and well, that's life, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's an accomplishment. You did it.
Yeah, I did. Well, I did it, but I should have stayed friends with him.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway.
I remember that if I'm thinking of the same scene, you were seated at a lunch counter, and you had one line.
Oh, could be. I don't.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember.
Yeah. See, Ralph, I'm Michael's official biographer, so
exactly.
I've got all of his papers and documents and film clips and stuff all set for the museum, or for Harvard.
Well, anything you need.
You touch on something, Michael, and this is going to be of interest to me, if not anyone else. There are 2 sides to being in the business, so to speak. You're a comedian. There's the entertaining side, where you're up there performing, writing, getting the script ready, doing this, that, and the other thing. And then there's the business side. And I would say there are very few people who could keep both sides in order. You know what I'm saying? To get the gig, to get with the right manager. You had a manager. Did he pass away? Was that?
Yeah, I had a manager, but also had an agent. Yes, who passed away at a very young age.
Right. So the timing of that, had he lived and had all that, has to be frustrating. And if you're good at one, doesn't necessarily mean you're good at the other. It's like being a doctor. Some doctors are good business people, but most aren't. And there's 2 things to showbiz. It's getting the gig and performing the gig. So there's frustrations. People say, well, this guy's a comedian, this guy in show business, say Rob Reiner, Penny Marshall. There's an awful lot of selling your ideas auditioning, frustrations. No, it can be a harrowing business. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, sure. But
Gary did early on a full-length film called Enter Laughing, which I hadn't seen until fairly recently. I'd heard about it. It was mentioned in the books, and it's about his first attempts to get into show business.
Can I interrupt? Not to be, David. I think. Did you say Gary did it?
Yeah, I did, but I think I meant.
I think it's Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner. That's right. It was Carl Reiner. Absolutely, his father-in-law for a period of time. Yeah, but that too was one of these stories that was set in the Bronx. Very, very realistic. Wore a James Monroe school jacket throughout the film. And it was very well done, because you were talking about mixing the two, Ralph, of being on stage and behind stage, so to speak. And Carl Reiner was very good at that. In fact, he was great at that. He made a whole career of being on Sid Caesar, but he also had a separate career of doing all these other things. And
with Mel Brooks, a lot of what he did was based on, a 1,000-year-old man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was just a party thing apparently that they did at parties. They just sort of started just impromptu, and somebody they
I don't know if it was Steve Allen or somebody, right?
Dick Van Dyke, I think he went on with the Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah,
show.
no, but we're talking about the 2,000-year-old man.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, they're hilarious today. If you listen to them today.
Oh boy, are they funny!
They just send you off your chair. And someone had suggested that they put this together as a record recording, and they did. And as I say, the rest is history. They did about 3 or 4 others as well. And of course, they were just wonderful together as a team.
Yeah. Hello there.
Yeah, right.
Am I right? You just said, hello there. I was back then things were different.
Very good. Yeah. Somebody came up to me one day and said, you look a lot like Mel Brooks. I said, no, you mean Mel Gibson. That was before he became a Nazi.
Yes. That was an easy transition for him. He did that with no trouble whatsoever.
No, none whatsoever. But,
all right.
But
listen to this for a second. Listen to this. Just want to play you something. I had it queued up here. Some names under Gary Marshall Milks. Did you know those people?
Yes. I'm trying to remember.
I don't know if they were Bronx people or not. Gary's friends from back then, but they were co-executive producers.
Yes, I remember that.
One girl, at least, that I think Penny had hired is in some capacity who was from the neighborhood, and I met their sister Ronnie a few times. Very, very sweet lady. I mean, really nice. So the whole family was.
Yeah, and it was Gary who brought everybody in from the way Penny writes in the book. He made sure that he was a good few years older than Penny, and he'd gone off to college while she was still in, I guess, even in junior high school, I think. He was
probably,
Yeah. So, but that Schlemazel, that was one of those old New York City, not nursery rhyme, but like a...
Yeah, but skipping rope and stuff like that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
You know what a Schlemazel is, don't you?
It's a schlemiel. It's the difference between a schlemiel and a schlemazel. The old story about a schlemiel throws up at a party. He gets sick and throws up. And the schlemazel is the person he throws up on.
Right. That's perfect.
There you go.
Yeah, great definition. Absolutely right on. Spot on.
Not mine, believe me.
No, but it's still, it works. Again, that's another one of those things where the Yiddish language, just gives it to you so beautifully.
It is a beautiful language, and what better language could describe the POTUS, a schmuck? Is that the best word? The President of the United States is a schmuck.
Yeah, well, we all have come across schmucks. I wanted to just mention how that gathering spot, because Mike can tell us about that, the gathering spot at the fence. That's all you had to say was, I'll meet you at the fence.
The fence.
Yeah, and it was right there in front of the school. And now, I was out visiting you, Michael, when I was out there covering the book show in Los Angeles. But we got together, and then you left to go back east for this reunion that they had.
Right.
And I was disappointed that I wasn't there for that. But you said, I remember you telling me how many, there were just hundreds of people there that Saturday morning.
Yeah, there were. I do remember. Yes, absolutely. And well, it was all the guys. A lot of the guys I could still name. Ronnie Zygmunt. And I think his girlfriend or wife already was probably the wife already. Yeah, it was Dale. Well, the names don't mean anything to other people.
No.
But there were a lot of people there, and two girls came up to me, and one she had a picture, I think I still have, from my junior high school, like 9th grade class. Or both girls were Natalie somebody and again. They were cute. One was really cute. I asked her to marry me again, even though I didn't. But anyway, there was just hundreds of people. It was great. I wish you were there. Well, maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Well, we did. It's already, it's 8 years ago, July. 10 years ago, July. You realize that?
What was 10 years ago?
When we got together in Washington.
Oh, yeah, for that mini little reunion, yeah. Yeah, that's true. That was another group, smaller group. Mike came into D.C. for that, and we had About 6 of us, I think it was.
And that was all about the Bronx.
And that was all about the Bronx, and especially about Marshalltown Parkway.
10 years.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, well, yeah. 70. Well, actually, I think the Bacon Sadat thing was in 78, if I'm not mistaken. And here it is, 2018. So that will be another sort of decade anniversary. I'm not quick enough to put the numbers together to tell you how many years, but it must go back 40 years, 40 years, 30 years, something like that. Anyway, yeah. So it's funny how when you call the show, Ralph, Bronx Roots, there's a lot of meaning behind that. Because you're always running into people. Oh yeah, my father's brother went to Clinton.
Oh yeah, sure.
You know, so many people have. Yeah, most of them are now in Florida. I think they'll move down to Florida.
Well, they should move back. Get out of Florida. What the hell what's the big deal about Florida? No, it's warm. Well, your son's there, right? So
yes. Yeah.
I know it's warmer, but I wanted to say about the Parkway, it was also, those were the years we were all reaching that age where the opposite sex was very attractive.
Yes.
Yes. I think there were about 41 girls that I would have loved to have an
associate with.
Just like, come here, give me a little kiss, would you please? There was a girl named Penny, not Marshall. Another girl, I think we talked about this. Penny Gorshoff or something. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
Boy, was she a cutie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I took her to the. Well, how could I take her to the prom? Did we have a prom at Clinton?
We had Clinton night. That was like the prom.
And you could take a girl. So we went to maybe it was with Skip, and we went to a Chinese restaurant.
Of course.
And then there were like 3 or 4 couples. And then the big thing after the Chinese restaurant to really celebrate the idea of a prom. Guess where we went? The Parkway.
The Parkway. I believe it.
That's where we said, well, now let's go sit on the Parkway.
Sit on the fence.
Messed up. I went on the Parkway, and I was trying real hard to become a man, in the sense of the word. I think I was begging. I think I promised, like, money. I bribed her. I told her I'll take her mother to buy aprons. I don't know what I was doing, but...
Take your mother to buy aprons. You romanticist, you.
I don't know what that means. And not much happened at all. And, oh, boy, was she cute. And then I heard that, now this is not fair, is Ronnie Geiser still, that's your friend, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Didn't he go to Ohio State?
He got his doctorate there, yes.
Oh, boy. His doctorate.
Yeah. But he's moving to
wise
Cuenca.
Guy, huh?
He and his wife are moving to Cuenca permanently.
Who?
Cuenca, it's in Ecuador.
Are you serious?
No, well, he figured Florida wasn't south enough, so they're moving to Cuenca.
Moving to Cuenca?
Yeah, apparently there's a colony of expats there. But go ahead, finish what you were saying about...
no, supposedly that Penny went to the same school and turned out to be quite agreeable with a lot of guys.
Oh, really?
This is
I'll have to ask him about that. I'll have to speak to him about that.
I don't know why that stayed in my mind, and I'm going, wait a minute. So what?
Well, there's another missed opportunity on your part.
Yeah, what was my problem? Cuenca sounds like something if you call the doctor and you go, I got this How about Cahuenga? Can I come in? Are you there Monday morning?
Yeah, well, they spent...
Why did he get his doctorate in?
Some sort of business speech thing. I forget what it was. And then he wound up teaching for about a year or so in the University of Wyoming in Laramie. And I don't think he ran into anybody from the Bronx out there. That's, terra incognita.
Yes, in Wyoming, yes.
Yeah.
He's the only Bronxite in Wyoming itself. In the whole,
he was. He's not there anymore, so now there's nobody.
Now there's nobody. How do you like that? Oh, well, and I was planning on going this summer.
Yes, right.
It was. It's funny. Life is strange. There are two places that I was thinking of going this summer: Wyoming and Cahuenga. Amazing.
Aren't coincidences wonderful?
Oh,
yes.
boy. I tell you. It really kind of warms the cockles of your heart. If
yes, as if they need warming at all.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right, guys. Terrific show. I enjoy your company.
Boy. Okay. If you're going to
really
be that
fun.
way. Okay.
One last note. Allegedly, and I have no proof of it, but it sounds reasonable, that the character of Fonzie was based on one of the Parkway regulars.
Who, Roy Drillick?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, did they soften Fonzie for Roy Drillick, or did they exaggerate Roy?
Roy Drillick was, like a would-be hood, and he would. It was either Roy Drillick or Lefty Farrell who once climbed up in a tree and peed out of the tree. It was like look at me and go, hey, boy, aren't you terrific?
It was either a combination of the two. You're right. It was either one or the other. Those were the two sort of tough guys.
Yeah.
In an era when tough guys, were not very tough. Really, I mean, they could beat you up.
He hung out in the pool room, and did he marry?
We talked about a zip gun, right?
Yeah, I talked about the zip gun, right? But these.
Remember Sheila Lott?
Sure, yeah.
Did she go with Roy Drillick?
Yep, I think so.
This was the era. Can I just tell a quick story of
sure.
Like David says, would-be tough guys and tough girls. Oh, well, Terry Buttafuoco. Wasn't that a name that used on Happy Days?
Mm-hmm. Yes, her, that's right. Her name was mentioned on that show.
Terry Buttafuoco, Ralph, was a big, fat, very ugly girl, sorry to say this, who thought she was very tough.
Are you listening, Terry?
One day, this is how bright she was. She comes up, she says, hey, is your mother pregnant? And I went, no. And she goes, phew. And I went, Terry, you know how stupid you are? A guy's supposed to do that joke. Like a guy slept with your mother, not a girl. Oh, I have never forgotten. That's how stupid some of these people were.
That's a name that's, there was a Buttafuoco in some scandal.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But this was, we were there way ahead of them. We had
I wonder if that was mishpacha of some sort.
Probably so. Yeah.
Buttafuoco's mishpacha.
They all hung together. They stayed together, those Buttafuocos. That's one thing you could say about them. All right, guys. Thank you again for pleasant memories. And rest in peace, Penny Marshall. Rest in peace, Gary Marshall. He died just a few years ago, if I'm not
mistaken. Yes, he did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. As I said, he was older. He was a bit older. Yeah. and supposedly also a very nice guy. So they may have had a crazy mother, but they turned out okay.
Yeah. Oh, boy, the talent.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. We'll do this again next week.
Okay.
Absolutely. Stay healthy, gentlemen, and thank you for listening, everybody. It's the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. The show is Bronx Roots. I have the pleasure of talking to Michael Preminger and David Hubler. Thank you again. Adios, everybody. The proceeding was a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Thank you for listening.